Good evening, race fans. My name is Jacob Fescannon here with Team Goon Squad. Proud to bring you the second round of the fifth season for the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. We are here tonight at the virtual Silverstone circuit, and we've got a healthy field, 33 drivers all turning up, ready to make their way out on track to battle for the feature race tonight. They are going to be going 20 laps around this 3.6 scenic Grand Prix configuration road course here in Silverstone, England, and our drivers are working out onto the grid, getting ready to go. Let's get you a quick rundown of the starting lineup for tonight's feature event. Starting on the pole is going to be the 16 of Finley Fitzsimmons. Outside in second is going to be the 11 of Reed Gibson. Brandon Dwan finds himself starting third. Michael Cow starting in fourth. Nick Peterson, 24, starting fifth. Micah Barnett in the 59, starting in sixth. Justin Sang, 69, going to be going, and they are off and rolling. Fitzsimmons going to be getting the quick start out. You can see him working into turn number one, leading Gibson by just about a half a car length as they work their way quickly through. A lot of drivers all showing up tonight. Great healthy field. Fitzsimmons leading Gibson here. Starting to stretch it out just a little bit as they work their way onto the straightaway. You can see Fitzsimmons with about a 3/4 of a second gap. He's going to bring it in hard to the left-hander. Fitzsimmons known for his qualifying prowess. Also, a quick pace. He's quick to rebound from problems at times. Looks like Michael Cow and Micah Barnett have a bit of an issue. We'll see if we can grab a replay there shortly. So they're sorting their way out. Still on the first lap. 20 laps in tonight's feature race, or 45 minutes, whichever does come first. In round one, Red Bull Ring saw no lack of action from either race. Expect to see more out of tonight's event. Fitzsimmons quickly trying to stretch a lead. Lead still stands at about 3/4 of a second over Reed Gibson. Brandon Dwan at another second back in third. Nick Peterson fourth, and Justin Sang filling out your top five. Current hard charger right now. It's a tie. Actually, it's the 8 of Nick Trollman. He's running 16th right now after starting in 23rd. It's like James East, Ricardo Espino, Micah Barnett with another issue. Let's see if we can grab a replay there. These drivers are sorting their way out. Lap one going to be in the books. Fitzsimmons second, a quick time there with a 156.079. See drivers working their way across the line. Fitzsimmons there. I'm gonna grab you a replay of the issues we've had so far. See what happened to Michael Cow. He's in the 66 machine. See him leading this pack. Running the Scuderia Chicken House machine. See if somebody's gonna miss the corner dive to the inside. Possibly the 59. Micah Barnett's gonna get into Chow. Let's see what happens. Looks like, yeah, he does just miss the corner, over brakes, or under brakes a little bit, gets into the right rear of Chow, sends Chow for a slide. He also goes off track. So that was your early issues for Chow. And let's see what happened also to James East, as he was involved with Ricardo Espino. You see him there working through the chicane. It's like Barnett's going to be back here as well. Spino coming in the 90 car, one car back from East. Barnett a couple cars back. He's taking a little bit of a later entry. Looks like Espino diving it in pretty hard. Just misses the corner, gets into the right side of East, sends him around, and Barnett has absolutely nowhere to go as he plows into Espino. He goes flipping up and over, lands on his side, pirouetting, losing the right front or the right rear, excuse me. So spectacular crash there. Tough break for East, trying to survive early on. Get you back to live racing. As Fitzsimmons has stretched the lead out now to his second and a quarter. Reminder, if anybody does tow to the pits, they are going to be ruled out of the feature race. Be allowed to come back in for the sprint race, but will be out for the feature race. It's like while we were away, a few more incidents. On track, John Kasai with a problem, Garrett McAllister with a problem. Quite a few drivers all having issues here early on tonight. Kasai down 15 spots, Michael Child down 21 spots after his issues. So we're here early on, only on lap number 3 of 20. Tonight's feature race here at Silverstone. About halfway through the first lap, or excuse me, the third lap. Drivers are already finding working in traffic a bit difficult at times. Looks like East has pulled it into the pits. He might be done for this feature race as well. Tough break early on. Looks like Nick Beaver with another issue. He's going to jump to pit road. That may spell the end for him as well. Simmons, though, across again, setting the current fastest lap of tonight's race, 151.72. It's proven he's got the pace, has extended the lead out to a second and a half. Gonna jump back through the field, though, as we've got some close battles developing. Got a battle for 12th and 13th. 28 of Norman King moving by the 4 of Felipe Sarkis. Sarkis now going to fall into the clutches of the 44 of Peter Reidinger. See Reidinger working to the left side of Sarkis as they work their way through 180. Sarkis continuing to work that inside line through the corner, gets a good exit out, or Sarkis, excuse me, working the outside line. Reidinger working that inside line. They're going to go side by side, see if Reidinger can clear his way into the corner. He does get in front of Sarkis, puts Reidinger up to 13th. Now Gareth McAllister, about a half a second back from Sarkis, trying to rebound after he had an issue early on. McAllister qualified 20th, up to 15th spot. It's like Ryan Tebow. Michael Chow with another issue. Chow just not having the best of starts to tonight's feature event. McAllister still trying to track down Reidinger, or excuse me, Sarkis. It's about 0.6 of a second back. See Sarkis trying to regroup, see if he can get 13th back from Reidinger. Reidinger pulling out with decent pace. They're about a second behind the 28 of Norman King. Early on still. Lap number 4. Drivers, bit of a skill difference, time difference here throughout the field, but we've got a good, healthy field. It's like out of our 33 that started, only 6 on pit road, excuse me, so still 27 cars out on track. Excuse me, so 2 did not start, so 25 on track. 31 there. McAllister trying to look to the right-hand side of Sarkis. Sarkis with a little bit of a better run through the chicane. McAllister going to fall back in line with him. McAllister has cut the gap down, now only 1.5 tenths behind Sarkis, using his toe down the straightaway. Taking advantage of one of the longer straights here at Silverstone. McAllister makes a move to the left-hand side, tries to clear himself in front of Sarkis. He does. Puts McAllister up to 14th. Sarkis now back to 15th. Just working my way around. It's starting to spread out a little bit here. A little bit of issues throughout the field. Most of the front 5 or 7 or so have kept it pretty clean. It's like Levi Opitz having a bit of an issue as well. Jump up though as the 24 of Nick Peterson is under attack from the 96 Brandon Dwan. Peterson qualified 5th, up 2 spots. Dwan started 3rd, wants to find his way back into the podium spot. Grabs a draft from Peterson down the front stretch. These two are about 6 seconds behind your race leader, only Fitzsimmons. Best lap still from Fitzsimmons with that 151.720. Reed Gibson's come close. He laid down a 151.80 the last time by. See Dwan still trying to grab a toe off the back. Peterson, he's going to look to the left-hand side. They're going to go into the left-hander here. Peterson's going to fall back to 4th. Brandon Dwan pushes wide. Peterson has to check up to avoid him. Let's put Brandon Dwan back up to 3rd. Nick Peterson back to 4th. Justin Sang still holding down 5th. He's picked up a couple spots after starting tonight's race in 7th. You can see Sang working just back. These two. It's about a 1.5 seconds. Just a little bit closer on track. Rest of your top 10. 17 Antonio Bianchi in 6th. Max Wobbles in 13th, 7th. Michael Fairchild in 8th. Jack Mundy in 9th. And Steven Lachota in 10th. McAllister starting to stretch the gap back out. There was a moment where it looked like Reed Gibson was trying to cut down some of the lead from Finley. Fitzsimmons responded back nicely with the challenge. Working his way through the final section here before he completes lap number 6. He's got the gap up to about 2 seconds. Starting lap number 7, just under a third of the way through. Just under a third of the way through on the time allotment as well. Seems like should be able to get this in. Everybody's sorted out. We're looking pretty clean now. Jump back though as Brendan Dwan not wanting to relinquish that final podium spot. He's going back after Nick Peterson. Peterson was able to work by him, but Dwan has not let him out of his sights. Dwan now going to be working the left-hand side. Almost an identical pass to what Peterson was able to put on Dwan the lap before. Peterson has nothing to do to defend that one. Dwan just got the run down the straightaway, pulled the preferred line inside the corner. So he takes back over 3rd. Nick Peterson back to 4th. This battling back and forth has allowed Justin Sang to cut the gap in about half. He's now only 3/4 of a second behind. Looks like we've got driver 2 trying to return back after repairs. Micah Barnett able to repair his car and gets back out onto the track. Scored right now in 28th. The drivers are going to be working for that top 12. To have a top 12 invert tonight. So drivers that will finish first will go back to start 12th in the sprint race. Drivers that finish 12th will be starting first, so on and so forth through the top 12. So right now, Peter Reidinger holding down that 12th spot. Be your pole sitter for the sprint race. Garrett McAllister about a second behind him, trying to recover. See if he can take away that 12th spot. But finishing positions, drivers want to get as much as they can because points here are valuable in this feature race. Expect to see one pit stop, likely somewhere between lap 10, potentially lap 14. Drivers likely taking fuel only in that stop unless they have any issues with the spin. See a couple drivers coming in now looking like they're going to try to short pit now, run a full fuel run. Back half of the race, Jared Ziegler in the 57 in, John Kasai in the 3 in as well. Both of those drivers, Kasai had an issue earlier on. to keep it here, though. Dwan pulling away a little bit from Peterson. Last time by, he ran a 1/10 of a second slower than Peterson, but these two have been swapping back spots where they've both been quicker. Dwan still holding down the third spot. Fitzsimmons holding the gap about an even 2 seconds ahead of Reed Gibson. These two, Fitzsimmons and Gibson, are about 8.5 seconds though ahead of this battle. So they have really separated themselves out. You can see that on the track map. They're almost a full straightaway ahead of the rest of the field. If you're just tuning in, glad to have you all on board here. This is the second round of the League Zero Formula Series Season 5 here at Silverstone Grand Prix. We are working lap number 8 of 20 here, tonight's feature event. Watching an intense battle between the 96 of Brennan Dwan and the 24 of Nick Peterson. Justin Sang not quite able to close up. He was able to cut that gap down to about 3/4 of a second and has kept it pretty consistent there. See almost nearly identical lap times for your 3rd through 5th place drivers, all within about 3/4 of a 1/10 of a second. Not 3/4 of a second, 3/4 of a 1/10 of a second. Shows you how evenly matched these drivers are. All working on a fixed setup, 50% fuel capacity, no fast repairs available, so if they have any excursions off track or tangle with anybody, that could spell the end of their night in the feature race. See Peterson trying to close up, just not quite able to get toe off of Dwan. Seems to be the preferred place for drivers to pass. We saw both Peterson and Dwan make that move. Go back through the field though, as we've got a tough battle going on. Felipe Sark has unfortunately fallen back a little bit through the field after avoiding some of the initial incidents. Finds himself now in a battle for 14th with the 8 of Nick Trollman. Drivers up spots from where they started. Sark is up 4 spots right now, Trollman up 9. Both trying to chase your current hard charger of Felipe Ramos. He's up 15 spots after starting 31st tonight. Trollman pulls away from Sarkis now. Opens the gap up to about 0.6 of a second. That was a bit short-lived. It's like Nick Peterson potentially coming on pit road. I think that might have just been an error in the timing there. Swung the car a little wide out of the corner. Still engaged in that battle with Brendan Dwan. Go back though, is we've got a battle between the 34 of David Tamira, 15 of Matthew Casey, excuse me. Tamira there in that multicolored 34 machine. Casey in the splatter paint multicolored machine. Trying to work the left-hand side back through the chicane. Closes in a little bit on Tamira. 1/10.5 back. It's good for about 3/4 of a car length. Their way down the straightaway. This is a battle for 17th and 18th on track. Drivers working on lap number 10. Approaching the halfway mark of tonight's feature race. Casey trying to get a toe off of Tamira. Wow, Casey goes wide. Lock it up to avoid Tamira. I think he just tried to get as close as he could. Just missed that braking point a little bit. Allows Tamira to pull away by a full 3 seconds now. Now Casey's got Michael Chow running right on his gearbox. Chow trying to recover after having a very rough start. Was your 4th place qualifier back to 19th. See if Chow can try to put the moves on Casey. Work his way back up through the field. Blaine Sparling in the 9 inches behind these two as well. He's waiting to pounce, see if he can pick up any spots should somebody have another mistake like we saw Casey have in that last lap. Appreciate all the fans that are tuned in here tonight. About halfway through tonight's feature event. A short break in between the feature event and the sprint race, and then we will get that going for you tonight as well. So plenty of racing action left to go tonight. We've seen a good battle here between the 15 of Matthew Casey, excuse me, 66 of Michael Chow. Drop us a like, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell to always be alerted when League Zero or any of your other favorite series are live and on the air. Let us know who you're rooting for tonight. Drivers love to see sport in the chat. Fans out flocks for them. Love to interact with you. So let us know who you're supporting out there tonight. Jump back up through the field though. It's Garrett McAllister. Tough battle with the 28 and Norman King. And McAllister is able to work himself into that 11th spot. Works by Peter Reitinger. Was able to work by Norman King, but looks like Norman King trying to put the pressure back on McAllister. They work their way down the front stretch. McAllister taking the left-hand side outside line through the corner. Norman King works the right-hand side. They're going to run side by side in the corner. King with the preferred line, but McAllister just not relinquishing that position yet. See McAllister pushing the car wide, trying to get as much momentum as he can. McAllister then falls in the toe of King as King clears him off the corner. McAllister going to try to look to the right-hand side going in the corner. Oh, King gets a little bit scared. I don't think McAllister did anything wrong there. I think King didn't quite expect him to be right there. A little startled, made a jerk to the left to avoid him. Still going to go side by side into the chicane here. We'll see who comes out with the advantage. McAllister had the preferred line in, but King has the preferred line exiting it. King still working that right-hand side. Back onto the front stretch, still side by side, and just behind them is going to be the 44 of Peter Reitinger. More pit stops under the way. Felipe Sarkis, Jack Mundy, both on for their service here. So we're working lap number 12 of 20 in tonight's feature event. Looks like McAllister also, this battle's allowed him to close up to the 17 of Antonio Bianchi. Bianchi with a little bit of a lockup there. It was a right front lockup coming into the corner. So we've got a 4-car battle here for 9th through 12th on track. It's Bianchi, McAllister, King, and Reitinger. And lurking not too far behind them is the 73 of Felipe Ramos. Or excuse me, the 8 of Nick Trollman. Keep it here on McAllister as he continues to try to work his way up through the field. With Mundy pitting. McAllister now inherits 10th place. He's trying to take another spot away though, see if he can get by the 17 of Bianchi. So Cap's a little bit away from Norman King and Reitinger. Back as Reitinger going to start putting the pressure on Norman King. He's working all over the back wing of King. King up 10 spots, as is Garrett McAllister. Number 96 Brandon Dwan pitting out of the 3rd spot now. First of your front 3 to pit tonight. Simmons resetting the fast lap of the race last time by 151.03. Looks like Reitinger bailing out. You see him going onto pit road. See how much longer Bianchi, McAllister, and King all keep it on track. I'd like to try to come in the next time by. McAllister making a big move to the right-hand side of Bianchi as they work their way down the front stretch. McAllister going to try to clear Bianchi, but Bianchi fighting hard back on the left-hand side. Oh, a little bit of crossover there. McAllister pushed wide out of the corner. Bianchi looked to the right-hand side of McAllister. They're going to go side by side out of the corner. McAllister with the preferred line there in the hairpin. Oh, Bianchi goes around. Just gets into a little bit of a tangle there. Not sure if he just got it loose in front of Norman King or if Norman King got into him and helped him around, but either way, that's going to hurt both of them. Doesn't look like too much damage out of both machines. See Felipe Ramos having to go for a little off track to avoid the 17 of Bianchi. Looks like Bianchi ends up losing a little bit more time than Norman King, so Trollman able to work by them. McAllister up to 9th, Trollman up to 10th, King back to 11th, Ramos up to 12th, and Bianchi back to 13th now. Back up through the field as you've got the 88 of Michael Fairchild up to 4th now. He's just about 0.6 of a second in front of 13 of Max Wobbles. Fitzsimmons and Gibson, your top two on the pit lane now for their pit stop for tonight's race. Working lap 13 here of 20 tonight. A few incidents tonight, but no reason for the virtual safety car to come out. Fairchild in as well as Max Wobbles. Max Wobbles locking it up, trying to bring as much pace as he could into pit lane, having to keep it off of Fairchild. First car out on track is going to be the 24 of Nick Peterson. He works his way through the chicane. He was in on lap 11. I don't think he'll be able to quite inherit the lead as Fitzsimmons and Gibson are both out, but we'll see if he can pick up any spots as he works his way across the front stretch back into turn number 1. Trying to carry as much momentum through. He's got the 96 Brandon Dwan back after him. Peterson was in one lap before Dwan able to flip the position, so he puts himself into 3rd. Dwan back to 4th. They go back up to the lead, though, as Fitzsimmons' lead is drastically cut. Gibson's now only 0.8 back. He was 2 seconds back at one point. Both came in on lap number 13, so we'll see if Gibson wants to push it a little bit harder now. This is going to be basically about a little over half the length of what the sprint race is going to be, so we'll see. These drivers are going to show their hand for what they potentially have for the sprint race. They're going to try to push. See if we can find out. Looks like Jack Mundy had to retire the 2 machine. We'll see if we can find out what happened from there. Fitzsimmons gap now down to 6.5 of a second. Working their way onto the back part of the course. Gibson trying to give it all he can. We'll see what the lap times look the last time by. Gibson with a 149.99 the last time by, so he's definitely putting the pressure on Fitzsimmons, trying to get all he can out of the car. They work their way back onto the front stretch. Simmons open gaps back up to about 0.8 of a second. Last time by, though, 0.4 of a second was the advantage for Gibson in the lap time, so see what he can do. Looks like Garris McAllister now taking his pit stop. I believe he's one of the last ones left to pit here of all those running on track. Blaine Sparling in the 9 also on pit road. So see how this all shakes out. They work their way around here. Lap number 15. We're almost 3/4 of the way through tonight's feature event. Simmons opening the gap back up, now just over a second ahead of Reed Gibson. So it's like Gibson's aggression able to cut down a little bit, but Fitzsimmons able to withstand that charge, pulling back away from Gibson. Back through, though, as we've got a battle between 15 of Matthew Casey, 66 of Michael Chow. This is 12th and 13th. It's that last position. 12th place would be the one to start as your pole setter for the sprint race. Both drivers trying to claim that. This is a battle that was going on before pit road, before the pit stops. Take a brief break to get their service, back out, back after each other. Chow trying to rebound from his early troubles tonight. Climb his way back up, potentially into the top 10. They're going to at least grab 12th. He'll start on the pole for the sprint race. Casey trying to hang on to that 12th spot. Looks like he's starting to open up the gap a little bit. Has about a 3.5 of a second advantage over Michael Chow. Casey getting in that multicolored splatter paint machine. Chow in the 66. Scuderia chicken machine. See back there, a little bit of battle too brewing between the 9 of Blaine Sparling, the 3 of John Kasai, and the 73 of Felipe Ramos. That's for 14, 15, and 16. Keep an eye as those cars are all venturing closer to each other here. We're starting to hit the last 5 laps of tonight's feature race. Chow really closing up this time, following in tow behind Casey through the chicane. Gets a gap down and out 2/10 of a second. Try to grab, draft down the front stretch. Chow about 0.5 of a second faster that last time by. Chow really trying to make a move now. He's putting all the pressure he can on the back bumper of Michael Casey. Casey able to withstand a little bit though. He starts pulling out. His gap up to about 0.4 of a second now. Still got quite a few drivers on the track though. Drivers on the pit. You can see Levi Opitz on the pit. Jack Bundy in the pits. East in the pits. Ricardo Espino in. A few drivers that are all out. Nick Beaver, Eric Fox, Ryan Tebow, Jack Duckwall, Micah Barnett, all casualties. Still got a great battle here for 12th and 13th. This is the last spot for the inversion here, feature event. Chow gonna get the run down the backstretch. Trying to look, see if he can get the run on the left-hand side. Pull away from Casey, but not quite able to complete the pass yet. Casey's gonna battle hard on that right-hand side. Chow working the left side into the chicane. Casey gonna have the advantage on the exit of the chicane. Chow gonna try to put the power down. 66 machine still working the left-hand side as they go side by side onto the front stretch. Drivers can't really make any contact in these open wheel cars, but they're certainly getting as close as they can, putting on a great race. We've also got now a 2-car battle behind them. That's between the 9 of Blaine Sparling and the number 3 of John Kasai. We've seen 2 battles on track. Chow Casey for 12th and 13th. Sparling, Kasai, and Ramos for 14th, 15th, 16th. Casey, with a bit of an issue there. He's going to tow back to pit road, so that's going to end his race. Blaine Sparling actually able to come away with 12th out of that is Michael Chow with a bit of an issue. Grab you a quick replay, see what happened there to cause that. See Casey working that right-hand side into the corner, Chow working the left-hand side. Looks like Chow trying to cut it as close as he can. Working that left-hand side. I think Casey, it's hard to say if there was any contact there. Casey pushes wide. Take a look as Casey's going to cut hard back into this corner. You're also going to see the 9 of Blaine Sparling right there. Is Casey trying to cut in? No, Casey just overdrove it and lost it. Michael Chow did the exact same thing up ahead, so almost synchronized spinning there. Chow getting a little bit of a better of the deal, kind of going around. You see him continuing to spin there. Sparling, Kasai, Ramos all able to work by him with no problem. So tough break there for both Chow and Casey after a great battle. This again puts Blaine Sparling into that 12th position. Go back to the front though. Got 3 laps to go here. About 2.5 actually where they're working on the track. Fitzsimmons with about a second lead over Reed Gibson. Gibson to close that gap down to about 0.6 of a second. Fitzsimmons opened it back up to a full second. He's kept it pretty steady there the last few laps. Both drivers turning in similar lap times. These two have been the class of the field, locking down first and second the entire way. Fitzsimmons leading all the laps so far in tonight's feature event. Peterson hanging on to 3rd place. He's got a bit of an advantage over Brandon Dwan. You see him running on his own. He's quite a bit back About 17 seconds almost back from Fitzsimmons, but he's got about 3 seconds ahead of Brandon Dwan. So, battle that we saw before the round of pit stops not really materialized itself here, the later stages of the feature event. Go back, our closest battle on track is going to be between the number 9 of Blaine Sparling and the number 3 of John Kasai, the Scannon battle for 12th place. It's the last inverted place following the finish of the feature race here, which we've just got 2 laps to go in it. Sparling trying to hold on to that 12th spot. He's got about a half a second advantage over Kasai, who's got about a 0.3 of a second ahead of Ramos. Go back up front though, as Reed Gibson has now cut the gap in half. It's down to half a second here with just a lap and a half to go. Fitzsimmons starting to feel the heat again from Reed Gibson. Gibson last time by was about 0.2 of a second faster. Gotta imagine he's going to be looking to cut a little more than that off each lap here if he wants a shot at Fitzsimmons before the end of the event. These two closely in tow. Gibson trying to grab toe. He is the gap down to 0.3 of a second. Sure, Fitzsimmons had a bit of a mistake. These two have been pretty evenly matched, so you gotta expect somebody either makes a mistake or maybe Gibson was saving a little bit, kind of pushed early on to see after the pit stop what he could get out of Fitzsimmons, who had better tires at that point. I believe all the drivers were in for just fuel only on their green flag stops. Tried to push him a little bit, see if he could get him to make a mistake after Fitzsimmons held off the charge. Maybe laid back a little bit, tried to save for these last 2 laps, and now trying to push hard. Work their way through the chicane here, getting ready to take the white flag. Looks like we're going to get all 20 laps in. No issues with the time allotment. Fitzsimmons try to work it around this 3.6 mile course one more time. See if he can hold off the charge of the 11 of Reed Gibson. Gibson giving it all he can, though. 4.5 of a second back. Last time by was 0.4 of a second faster, so got the makings of a great finish here. Fitzsimmons doing all he can. He's got about a 4-car length of an advantage. Work their way down the straightaway. Gonna come into the hard left-hander. And then back to the right-handed hairpin. Still about 0.4 of a second is the difference between the two of them. It's the closest this battle has been in the entire feature race, so great job by the two of them. Gibson has it down to about 0.3 of a second as they take the 90-degree right-hander. Simmons is seeing mirrors full of Gibson, trying to do his best to focus on his marks, keep it clean, keep the momentum up, hold on to that lead, finish the race off wire to wire. Gibson, though, getting a big toe. He's going to look to the right-hand side of Fitzsimmons. They're going to go hard into the right-hander. Oh, a little bit of contact, potentially, maybe a bit of prediction code there sends Fitzsimmons wide. Gibson takes it. Gibson kind of forcing Fitzsimmons a little wide there through the corner as well. He's going to work back into the chicane. He's now got almost a full second over Fitzsimmons. So it looks like Reed Gibson with a late lap move on Fitzsimmons. He's going to steal away your win tonight in the feature event. I'll put him starting 12th for the sprint race. Fitzsimmons comes home in second. Peterson's going to bring it out. He's running his way around the final corner, brings it across the start-finish line. He's going to finish third. Brandon Dwan going to bring it home in fourth, just ahead of the 68 of Justin Sang. Max Wabble's working his way out of the final corner. He's going to finish sixth tonight. Antonio Bianchi a little bit back. He's working his way back onto the front stretch, going to bring it home in seventh. Steven Lachoto working his way out. He's going to finish in eighth tonight here. Reidinger got a little bit of a gap over the eighth of Nick Trollman. He's working his way around the final corner as well. Reidinger going to finish in ninth, 15 spots after starting 24th. Nick Trollman finishes 10th. John Kasai leading Sparling and Ramos. Kasai finishes 11th. Sparling takes the 12th and final inversion spot. Felipe Ramos finishes 13th. Sark is going to finish 14th. Fairchild 15th. A few more cars working their way on the front stretch to finish out. Norman King bringing it home just ahead of Garrick McAllister. David Tamira ahead of Xavier Sanave. Michael Chow going to bring it home in 21st. That should wrap it up for your feature event tonight. Again, we'll pull up your results here. Reed Gibson with the late race move. Grabbed the finish from there we go. Reed Gibson with that finish. Late race or last lap pass by Finley Fitzsimmons grabs the win. He's going to start 12th. Your sprint race, Fitzsimmons 2nd. Peterson 3rd. They round out your podium. You can see the rest of the top 20 there on your screen. We're going to take a short intermission. Driver's going to have about 10 minutes till the start of the sprint race tonight. Work you through the rest of finishing order there for you. We're going to do the same. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back here to bring you the sprint race, 10 laps. The excitement here at Silverstone. Glad to have you all on board for the second round. The League Zero Racing Series, 5th season of Premier Formula 3 iRacing League. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Start of the sprint race. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready to start the sprint race of tonight. Drivers are just finishing up their last minute preparations for tonight's sprint race. 10 laps here, top 12 from your feature race. We're going to be inverted for tonight's race. So we're going to grab a quick look at that. That's going to be Nina Blaine Sparling starting first, John Kasai starting second, Nick Trollman starting third, Peter Reganier fourth, Stephen Lachota fifth, Antonio Bianchi sixth, Max Wobble seventh, Justin Sang eighth, Brandon Dwan ninth, Nick Peterson 10th, Finley Fitzsimmons 11th, and Reed Gibson 12th. As we work our way back through tonight's starting grid, you're going to have Felipe Ramos 13th, Felipe Sarkis 14th, Michael Fairchild 15th, Jared Ziegler 16th, Norman King 17th, Garrett McAllister 18th, David Tamira 19th, Xavier Zanabi 20th, Michael Chow 21st, Matthew Casey 22nd, Levi Opitz 23rd, Michael Barnett 24th. Rounding out, it's going to be Jack Money 25th, Ryan Tebow 26th, Jack Duckwall 27th, Nick Beaver 28th, James East 29th, Eric Fox 30th, Ricardo Espino 31st, Sean Cleary 32nd, and Jeff Murphy going to be starting in 33rd. Drivers going to be getting ready to work their way off. As they get the green lights, we are off and rolling here for the sprint race. 10 laps tonight, 30 minutes, whichever does come first. You see Kasai quickly trying to work the right-hand side, take the lead away from Blaine Sparling. They're going to work their way through the section, back through the loop into Aintree. Kasai quickly taking the lead, though, as Felipe Sarkis with a bit of an issue. He's falling back through the field. He's sitting there off track. See him getting back on. One other driver also off the track. Looks like that was the 35 of James East. Man, he cannot catch a break. Oh, and Fitzsimmons crashes as well. You can see Fitzsimmons. Ooh, Fitzsimmons with heavy rear end damage. I think that car is likely going to be done for tonight's sprint race. You see him with left rear messed up, right rear completely disconnected. So very rough start tonight in the sprint race for a few drivers. Ramos, Sarkis, East, Fitzsimmons all having serious issues. You see a couple more off. That was Fairchild off the track along with Felipe Ramos. So troubles just continue here on the early lap of the sprint race. Fitzsimmons takes a tow to the pits. He's going to be out of tonight, going to be your first casualty. Looks like a few drivers not electing to start tonight's event, so only 25 drivers starting this sprint race. Jump back up, though, as Kasai is taking a quick 2.5 lead over Max Wobbles. Wobbles going to start feeling some pressure from the 32 of Steven Lachota. Lachota up a couple spots after starting 5th in tonight's sprint race. Was able to finish 7th in the feature event. Oh, looks like Micah Barnett, Justin Sang, Jack Mundy all having an issue. Michael Chow also with a bit of an issue. Ricardo Espino having problems. Micah Barnett still having issues. Again, Michael Chow with another tough break. He's in the pits. I believe he totes. I believe he will be our second casualty of tonight. Just a tough break for some drivers here early on. His first lap and a half or so has really caught a lot of guys off guard here. Let's see if we can grab a replay of what happened. We still got 22 drivers out on the track. Drivers trying to score all important championship points. Work their way back up through. On Wobbles, he's got about half a second over Steven Lachota, who's also got about 3/4 of a second ahead of Blaine Sparling. Current top 3 are John Kasai, Max Wobbles, Steven Lachota. Kasai with a 1.25 second advantage right now. Both working their way through the hanger straight back into Stowe. This is a 3.6 mile layout we are using here tonight at the Silverstone Grand Prix. And lap 2 of the sprint race. No pit stops expected out of this one. Fuel or tires unless you have issues. We're back way through the field though, as we've got a really good battle side by side. It's going to be the 57. Jared Ziegler, 7, Levi Obitz. Obitz in the red Virgin machine. Ziegler pulls away. He's got about 1/4 second ahead of this group. Garrett McAllister trying to look to the right-hand side. Work his way by Obitz. A little bit of a lockup right there by Nick Trollman behind them, trying to keep it off. So we're quickly turning this into a 3-car battle now. This is for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Tight battle here. McAllister works the right-hand side. Lopez works the left-hand side. Trollman makes a jump to the left-hand side. They're working their way through Luffield into Woodcote out of Brooklands. See who can get the advantage here. Looks like McAllister is able to pull away from these two, but just as quickly as Lopez and Trollman engage in battle, Sarkis is right behind them. He's going to make a move to the right-hand side. Sarkis with a quick pass on Trollman, and now working the left-hand side. He's trying to set his sights on Levi Opitz. Sarkis, or Trollman trying to defend the 12 of Xavier Sinyabe. And he's also got the 96 of Brandon Dwan right behind him. So we've got battles all over the track here. So we only worked lap number 3 of 10 in tonight's sprint race. So we've got a little problem between Peterson and Reidinger. Oh, these two are connected together here. Both of them stuck here. I believe this is going to drop them back quite a bit. They're both stuck there in Stowe. Looks like Peterson takes a tow. I believe Reidinger as well. Reidinger gets it going, but Peterson, unfortunately, after finishing third sprint race, or the feature race, excuse me, he's going to take a tow and be out of tonight's sprint race. Max wobbles with an issue as well. We'll see if we can grab him. Oh, you see him getting it corrected, but everybody's starting to run into problems here. A little bit of smoke up ahead as well. It's like Kasai with an issue. Kasai and Machoto both with issues. We'll see if we can grab that replay for you. That was contact for the race lead. Let's see what we can grab out of that. See Kasai leading. Looks like Lachoto gets a little loose out of the corner, gets a good run. He's going to try to grab a toe off of Kasai. See what happens here as they take the right-hander. I believe that's going to be going into the loop. Yeah, hard to see if Kasai checked up, I think. Choda just got into the right rear of him. Sends Kasai off the track. Choda's going to be able to work on by, so tough break for Kasai there after leading. He's cycled back to 5th place now. 3/4 of a second ahead of Max Wobbles. Choda with just a 1/4 of a second ahead of Reed Gibson. Gibson taking advantage of Fitzsimmons with the early contact. Heavy damage to his number 16 machine. Gibson going to try to work the right-hand side by Kasai. All over the draft. Going to work their way back into Vale. Through the chicane. Heading towards Club in the Hamilton Straight. We'll see if Gibson can try to make the move here onto the front stretch. Ooh, a little bit of defensive block there by Lachoto. Not sure if that was intentional or if he just pushed a little wide, had to bring it back onto the racing surface. Gibson going to take the right-hand side into the corner. Lachoto battling back hard, though, on the outside. Gibson really trying to do what he can to grab that lead. We still see side by side. This is a lot of the 17 of Antonio Bianchi. Oh, big lockup for Lachoto. He makes contact with Gibson. Gibson tried to avoid him. Made some contact with the right rear of Lachoto. So that sends Gibson all the way back to 6th. Lachoto able to hang on to the lead, but he's now got the 17 of Antonio Bianchi working the left-hand side. They're going to work their way back into Brooklands in left field. See who can grab the lead here. Bianchi pulling the lead away from Lachoto. Lachoto might have a little bit of suspension damage, might be ailing that car a little bit. We've got a heavy swarm of cars, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, all right behind him. That's Sparling, Kasai, Wobbles, Gibson, all right there. See Sparling working the right-hand side. Gibson trying to work his way back up through. He's right there. Wobbles, excuse me. He's now working the right-hand side through the corner. Kasai battling hard. He's going to clear Max Wobbles, Blaine Sparling. So Kasai back up to 3rd. He makes a quick move through this group. Cuts through them like a knife through warm butter. Max Wobbles sorting up now in 4th. Blaine Sparling 5th. And you see Reed Gibson trying to make a move. He clears by Blaine Sparling with no issue. So Gibson back up to 5th. Again, after that contact with Choto and spin there. Choto just locking the brakes up. Gibson with nowhere to go. Drivers keep working their way. Oh, big issue there. I believe Kasai with another issue. So let's bring Gibson up to 3rd. Kasai back to 4th. Gibson working the right-hand or left-hand side, excuse me. Gibson working right behind him, or Kasai behind him now. Gibson up to 3rd, Kasai back to 4th, Blaine Sparling 5th, Jared Ziegler 6th, Garrett McAllister up to 7th. So we've got battles all over. This is allowing Antonio Bianchi to pull out. He's got about a half of a second lead over Steven Licciotto. Licciotto 3 seconds ahead of Gibson and Kasai. Max Wobbles goes for a bit of a slide off the course. He's back here, coming back onto the track, out of Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. We're going to go back up, though, as we've just got battles all over the track. Sprint race living up to its name. As drivers feeling the pressure, half the laps, more than double the pressure, trying to make moves often, sometimes costing themselves control of their vehicles. See Kasai working 4th place. He's fallen back. He's about a full second now behind Reed Gibson. He's got Blaine Sparling about a half a second back from them. We're going to go back through the field, though. So we've got a bit of a battle brewing between the 12 of Xavier Zainabe, 7 of Levi Opitz. This is for 12th and 13th. Currently, 12th held down by Zainabe. Just trying to close back up. They're going to grab the toe. Working their way back down. Hanger strike into Stowe. Stowe, the 90-degree right-hander. Pretty high-speed corner. See a little bit of battle up ahead as well. A 3-car group here. This is Nick Trollman, Mormon King, and Justin Sang. Oh, just as I say that, King gets on the throttle a little hard, spins it around. Spins it around on the club. So he has a bit of an issue. He's going to fall back now down to 13th. I don't think Michael Chow going to be able to get by him, so King going to get it straightened back out. Back on to the Hamilton straight, gets it going. No doubt, though, just trying to push all he could. Over-rotated the car a little bit. Creates a separation here. Trollman 9th, Justin Sang back in 10th. Sang about 7/10 of a second behind Trollman. So it spreads out the field a little bit more. Also moves a couple drivers up. Wobbles with some issues. He's on to pit road. It's going to leave 17 cars out on the track. It's been survival of the fittest here in tonight's sprint race. We're working lap number 7. We've got just 4 laps to go. Just past the halfway mark. Jump back up to the front, though, as Steven Licciotto cut the gap down to half of a second behind Antonio Bianchi. He was about 1/10 of a second faster the last time by. Let's go on board with Licciotto. See if we can get a view around Silverstone. Coming onto the Hanger Straight. One of the longest straights of the course, one of the fastest parts as well. Going to take the right-hander into Stowe. See, off the throttle back onto it. Working across that curbing, trying to stretch that track out as much as they can through Vale. Back into the chicane. It's been one of the most popular spots for drivers to make the pass. Quick straight back into club onto the front stretch. Right now, about 9/10 of a second back as Bianchi was able to open it up a little bit. Quickly through Abbey, through left-hander through Farm. Going to be coming into Village now. Right-hander and then into the slow 180 loop. Out of that, a little bit of an oversteer. And to counteract that with the right hand inputs there through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. Shoulder trying to grab as much of a toe off Bianchi as he can. Take it into the left-hander of Brooklands. Back into the right-hander of Lowfield. Looks like Bianchi, a little bit of a mistake, pushed a little wide. Oh, a little bit of a loose condition getting out. Licciotto trying to get on that throttle. Had to counter steer that to the left to keep it going. His way here. Coming up to Copes. Right-hander not off the throttle very long, keeping the momentum up. They set themselves up for a quick left-hander through Baggett's. Almost full throttle through this second section here. Back into Beckett's. And the left-hander Chap, a bit of an off track there, just slightly wide for Licciotto. Try to grab as much of a draft as he can on Bianchi. They work their way down the Hanger Straight. And it's the longest part of the track. Comes the right-hander in Stowe. just like that, Reed Gibson was able to make a big move, hold the right-hand side by Lachoto. See Gibson pop up. See if Lachoto can make a crossover here through chicane before they head back into club and onto the Hamilton straight. Great racing action here as Gibson working his way back up to third. As Gibson trying to close down. He's got a 2.25 to go. Over 2 laps to try to get to Bianchi last time by. 0.6 of a second faster though. See if he can cut it down. It's going to be right on the edge. Did it under pressure in the feature race. Was able to close the gap down to Finley Fitzsimmons. Take it away. The chicane, through Vale and the chicane. Make it happen. We'll see if he can do it again. 15 cars left on the track as Felipe Ramos and Ricardo Espino both on pit road now. James East, your last driver on the track, running in 15th. Rest of your top 5. 3 of John Kasai, 9 of Blaine Sparling, excuse me. And then through the top 10, you got the 57 Jared Ziegler, Eric McAllister in 7th, Nick Trollman 8th, Felipe Sarkis 9th, and Justin Sang in 10th. Bianchi now leading about 0.9 of a second ahead of Reed Gibson. They work their way back through Maggots into Beckett's. Through the left-hander Chapel. Gibson's so much quicker right now than Bianchi. It's just a matter of time. He's got the gap down to 1/4 of a second. He's about 1.5 lengths back. Tries to work his way to the right-hand side. Working their way through Stowe. Back into Vale. See what Gibson can do as they work their way here into the chicane. Right-hander club. Bianchi knows there's no fight. He moves over, let Gibson by. He's content to try to protect second, keep himself in front of Steven Lachoto. So as we get the white flag lap now, Gibson back to the lead. Able to work his way up through the field after starting 12th, finds himself back in the lead. He's working the final lap of tonight's feature, or sprint race, excuse me. Antonio Bianchi holding down second. He's up 4 spots after starting 6th. Steven Lachoto. A little bit of the contact there with John Kasai earlier, midpoint of the race. He's still holding down third. Go back through those. We've got a battle here brewing between the 68 of Justin Sang, 4 of Felipe Sarkis. Sarkis working right-hand side. This is for 10th and 11th. Excuse me, this is 9th and 10th. They work their way into Brooklyn's. Back into the left field. Sang working the right-hand side. He tries to clear. Sarkis not quite able to do it. Still works the right-hand side, though. They're now back onto and into Copes. Still battling side by side. Great action here for 9th and 10th. Chasing positions back and forth here on the final lap. See as they work their way through. Looks like Sang going to be able to take the position away. He's got now 2 car length advantage ahead of Felipe Sarkis, so moves him up to 9th. Sarkis back to 10th. Looks like a bit of an issue for Blaine Sparling. She's got the 57 of Jared Ziegler working by him. McAllister going to try to size him up now as well. Reed Gibson going to grab your win. Antonio Bianchi going to finish 2nd. Steven Lachoto going to finish 3rd. So we're going to give the drivers a chance to calm down, grab their post-race debrief. See if we can grab our top 3 finishers in the sprint race for a bit of a grab them for some post-race interviews. Great finish though. Waiting just for the results. There we go. Now we've got our sprint race results coming up on the screen for you. Great battle tonight. Greg Gibson able to grab win of both the feature race and the sprint race tonight. Antonio Bianchi finishing second, Chodo third, Kasai fourth, Ziegler fifth. You can see the rest of the top 20 there on the screen. See if we've got our drivers. Looks like we are waiting on Steven Lachoto. See if we can grab him and get you post-race interviews. Work your way back through the rest of the field as well for rest of the sprint race. Heavy action. It was a great battle. Shut up just a minute, and then we will grab call with our second place finisher if we're not able to get him. He might be exiting tonight. Alright, well, we're going to see if we can catch up with him if he jumps in. Otherwise, we're going to grab our second place finisher for the sprint event. Oh, looks like we did get Chodo in. So we're going to grab him, bring him up for our post-race interview. Got with me our third place finisher of tonight's sprint race, Steven Lachoda. Steven, we saw a little bit of contact out there between you and the three of John Kasai. It's kind of hard to tell from our end. What happened from your view inside the cockpit as you were battling for him with the lead?
What I don't know. I probably have to take a look back at it. I mean, in the sprint, it's you're talking the sprint or the feature?
The sprint race.
Yeah. I mean, it's just trying to push as hard as I can. I mean, this is also my first race in this league, so just kind of getting used to racing these folks and getting used to being around them because every league's different. So really aggressive here. So I think in the sprint tried to get the elbows out, but again, I don't like to talk about it unless I've seen it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Great run for your first race here with the League Zero Racing Series. Seems like everybody was loving to use the final chicane before the front stretch. Was there another spot maybe on track that you preferred for trying to overtake and make moves up through the field tonight?
I think in the turn turn three, had some unfortunate contact with Reed there, which I'm sure he's super pleased with the result. But I honestly wasn't. I think it was kind of I was trying to push as hard as I could, but really just trying to keep the positions that I kind of got myself into on the reverse. So um, it was mostly just defending and yeah, I don't know. I don't think I had a favorite passing spot. Didn't have that many overtakes if I remember correct. So
And with your first time here, have you had much experience in the Formula 3 car before, especially here at Silverstone, or was this kind of all new for you together to kind of put it together last minute?
so it's definitely last minute for Silverstone. It's been a minute. I my other league has done F3. I did a sprint series of F3, so I got a lot of time in the F3 then. It's one of my favorite cars in the service, and I mean, I know Silverstone pretty well. It was just kind of getting a feel for what the setup is, kind of how the races go, how aggressive everyone is, and but it's a little bit of a spur of the moment, but because I literally just got added to the league today, so wasn't sure if I was racing today.
Well, congratulations on a great podium finish. Anybody you want to send a shout out to or a thank you to before we let you go celebrate that third place finish tonight?
Uh, I'd say shout out to J2I League, my home league, and yeah, happy to be here. Thanks.
Glad to have you. Looking forward to success the rest of this season.
Thank you so much.
was your third place finisher, driver of the number through 32 machine, Steven Lachota. We're going to grab our second place finisher, driver of the number 17. It's going to be Antonio Bianchi. Got with me our second place finisher in tonight's sprint race, Antonio Bianchi. We saw a little bit of unfortunate contact there between both Steven Lachotto, John Kasai, and then again between Lachotto and Gibson. Allowed you to take the lead over momentarily. Did you kind of see that Brewing were able to avoid that, or was it just kind of the benefit of the right place at the right time?
It was a little bit of both. We managed to squeeze our way through there as there was a couple guys spun around and then there's the contact there and we managed to make it through, which was nice. It's just too bad at the end there I got a slow down, unfortunately, out of the last corner, I think, and out of Beckett's there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we saw Gibson once he was able to get his way by Lachotto into second. He was really trying to close the gap hard on you. Uh, kind of wondering if you felt like you had the advantage with that big of a lead. Had you not gotten that slowdown penalty, you think Gibson still had quite a bit of pace that would have put on a late race challenge there for the win in the sprint race?
Yeah, it probably would have been close. It would have been nice having a chance at defending it, but it's all good. I mean, it would have been close regardless.
We saw a lot of contact, a lot of drivers having issues getting tangled. Fitzsimmons taking the biggest run of a hit early on in the sprint race. What's kind of the key for you to be able to navigate the aggressive nature of the sprint race, but still be able to avoid the contact and put yourself in a good spot to finish up front?
I think a lot of guys tend to go aggressive in the beginning of the race, where I feel like you have to be the opposite and go passive in the beginning and then aggressive at the end, and it tends to help out quite a bit and put you in the right place because a lot of guys wreck early due to the aggression.
Well, certainly you did a great job of navigating through that, able to bring in home P2 in the sprint race. Anybody you want to send a shout out to or thank you to for letting you go celebrate that tonight?
Um, just shout out to the guys up front. It was good battling up there, and then definitely my teammate too. He was running P10. He's normally out there in the back, so he was doing great. And then his internet cut out, unfortunately. So shout out to Levi Opitz. He was doing great.
Well, congratulations on a great second place finish and best of luck with the remainder of the series tonight.
Thanks, Jacob.
Was your second place finisher in tonight's sprint race, driving the number 17 machine, Antonio Bianchi. We're going to grab our race winner of not only the sprint race, but the feature race. Got with me our race winner for both tonight's feature race and the sprint race, driver in the number 11 machine, Reed Gibson. Reed, you're a man of the hour. You had to chase down Finley Fitzsimmons in the feature race and then had to chase down Antonio Bianchi late race in the sprint. So, what were the key in both of those races to close those gaps down so quickly and be able to put yourself in the position for both wins?
Honestly, it was just keeping a level head. Um, I looked at the times from qualifying, and I thought, I could maybe match Finley, but during that feature race, I was just kind of watching him claw a couple tenths away every lap, and I resigned and just thought, all right, just run your best laps. I know in the past I've had a bad habit of like over driving trying to catch up, and I thought, this is my pace. It's gonna keep me around, a couple seconds back, and somehow it all just kind of worked out in the pit stop rotation. I think I just got a really good run into the pits and just nailed my marks. And coming out of there, I was in the tow, and it was the same thing. It was, I'd come up through Maggots and Beckett's the lap on the penultimate lap, I think, and I tried to follow his line and I screwed up a little bit. So on that last lap, I just thought, don't even look at the guy in front. Just do the line you can do. And I knew that I was faster than him, and most of the sweepers I was gaining tiny little tenths, and it all just kind of worked out. And it's unfortunate that we had a little bit of contact through the last couple corners. I think I tried to be as fair as possible and leave as much space while still being racy. And going into the sprint race, I kind of had the same mentality of at the last event, I didn't do that great in the sprint race. I think I wasn't aggressive enough at the start, and I didn't make passes. And this time I went out and just thought, okay, I'm going to be as aggressive as I can be while not being crazy. And I got bumped by people that locked up a little bit, and somehow my car didn't get damaged. So yeah, it was the same thing of just like trying to keep a level head, pumping in the best laps that I know I can do, and then hoping that consistency and that persistence plays into the mental game, and throw someone else off. All you need for them is to make one mistake, and you just have to make one less mistake and capitalize when you have the chance.
Well, we certainly saw that mistake in the sprint race by the 32 with Steven Lachota. I believe you're speaking of the instance where he had locked the brakes up coming in. You got into his right rear. It looked like from our perspective, you had nowhere to go. Is that the one that you were speaking of that you were fortunate enough to not get too much damage on your vehicle and be able to come away from it?
Yeah, Yeah, and surprisingly, that actually happened on lap one with another driver. I looked at it, and the incidents were almost identical. Of you gotta race hard around that corner and keep it tight and trying to get back in the gas so you stay in the draft. If you give it up, it's gonna go all away, and it's a little bit of a risky. You got to trust the guy next to you, and it's still the start of the season. You don't really know where everybody is, and still trying to memorize liveries, so you don't know exactly how hard you can race anybody. But it's a sprint race. You got to put it all on the table if you want to get those points.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we saw towards the end you were making up big chunks of time on the 17 Antonio Bianchi. He spoke that he had a slowdown penalty on the final lap that kind of gave you the chance to get by him. Did you feel like even without that you still had a chance at making a last lap pass again to grab the win away from him?
Yeah, as we came around through that complex, I was looking at the time, and I saw myself slowly starting to get back into the draft, and I got a good exit out of Beckett's, and was towing a little more, and I thought, hey, if I just nail one more good lap, maybe I could do this and give myself a chance. But again, I had no pre-context about, oh, I'm totally gonna get him. It was just all right, put yourself in the best position possible, run your best laps, see what the other driver does, and in this case, it just kind of worked out to me. So honestly, I feel kind of lucky. I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't gotten that slowdown, but I'm kind of grateful he did because it gave me the win.
Certainly, congratulations on again winning both the feature race and the sprint race tonight. Anybody you want to send a shout out to or thank you to before
Yeah,
you go
just
celebrate both victories?
Yeah, so obviously, thank you to the league for putting on these great events. It's been very fun. It's my first season. I got recruited by a driver, Micah Barnett, who was in the prior season, and he brought over a couple of us guys who race in under the Scuderia Chicken House banner. So there's a lot of us out here in a couple different teams, and we're all having a lot of fun. So I appreciate you guys inviting us and letting us play with you guys on Thursday nights.
Well, congratulations on great runs tonight, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Was your race winner of both the feature event and the sprint race tonight, driver the number 11 machine, Reed Gibson. It's going to wrap it up tonight here for the second round of the League Zero Racing Series at Silverstone Grand Prix. Again, my name is Jacob Fescannon here on behalf of Team Good Squad. Proud to bring you all the action tonight. Going to be calling this the rest of the season. So glad to have you all on board. Glad to get back to calling this. This is great, great racing action. We saw a lot of battles all throughout the field on track. A lot of contact. A lot of drivers recovering from the contract, working their way up through the field. So only with it being the second round, it gives a lot of signs for the rest of the season of how great the racing action can be, especially with as big of a field as we had. So, gonna look forward to bringing everything back to you the same place, same time next week. And until next week's third round, wish you all guys a great week. We'll see you next time.